Are you currently in debt? Do you want to get out of it and be free as soon as possible? The answer is obvious, isn't it? And if you look for how to do it, you will surely find methods and rules to follow. Some of them we have shared them in this channel. On the other hand, debtors almost always fall into certain traps and don't even realize they are making a mistake. Here I share with you 7 mistakes that you shouldn't make when you are in debt. The first mistake is taking on one debt to pay off another. This is like opening one hole to close another. For example, using the limit on one credit card to pay the debt on the other, or taking a loan at one bank to pay another bank. This is not the solution to the problem, but instead, we are postponing it in time. In doing so, it is easy to fall into a vicious cycle and never get out of debt, lose control and eventually get into debt up to your neck. Of course, if you pay 30% interest and you can exchange it for 15% under the same conditions, this is phenomenal. It's a good option. The problem is that when we are already in debt, it is difficult to negotiate better terms on a new loan. Banks know we owe others. Listen to this. Debt fighting can never, ever be based on increasing debt. Second mistake. Paying off debt before taking care of your most basic needs. We should do everything to pay off debt as quickly as possible. But before paying off debt, we must first meet our family's basic needs, such as expenses for food, medicine, home and clothing, etc. Only the rest of the money we can dedicate to pay the debt. Moreover, we should not get rid of the emergency fund. The emergency fund is kept only for emergencies. Do not use this money to pay off a credit card or a bank loan. These are not emergencies. If the money is not enough, look for other ways such as asking for a raise, create extra income, etc. Emptying the emergency fund will create problems later on. Before I go any further, I need to tell you one more time. It is important to pay off the debt, but neither the bank nor anyone else will take care of your family's welfare. The bank is looking out for its interests and you have to take care of your basic needs first, and then pay off the debt. Third mistake, paying debts without having a plan. When you receive a payment, you want to use it immediately to pay back at least part of the debt. And you may think an additional payment of $100 is a good idea, but it's even better to pay where you really need it. If you have several commitments, it is necessary to prioritize. Not all debts are equally expensive and not all are equally urgent. Therefore, planning how to pay is the most important part of getting out of debt. When making a plan, you should pay attention to issues such as how many debts you have and the amount of each, the status of your debts, whether current or past due, the interest to pay in each debt, and the amount of money you have available per month. By following a certain method such as the snowball method, it will be easier for you to make payments and stay current. Fourth mistake. Keep using credit cards. When it comes to debt, you have to take radical actions, and one of them is to cut up your credit cards. This way you completely avoid the temptation to use them and get into new debt. But if you can't find the strength to do it, at least leave your cards at home. Carrying your card with you will make it much easier to fall into the first impulse and buy something you don't need and that you wouldn't buy with cash. With a credit card, there is a physiological effect of not having the bills in your hands that makes you feel like not really expending money. But obviously this is not the reality. Fifth mistake. Postponing payments for later. This is very common. For example, let's say the monthly installment you have to pay is $300 and you only have $100. That's certainly not enough. So you think it's not worth paying this month. You'll be a month behind in hopes of catching up next month. What makes us think that if we can't pay $200, we're going to be able to pay $600 or more? You are much more likely to have these small amounts than enough to cover your entire debt. You may be able to get by paying a little at a time. And even if that's not the case, there's one thing we almost always forget or don't know. Depending on the country, in order for a bank to terminate a loan contract, it must prove that you are in arrears for a number of full installments. If, for example, there are 4 installments and you have to pay $300 a month, they can terminate the contract only when you are $1,200.01 in arrears. If there is even a penny less, they can't do it in this situation. You can buy yourself an additional month of time for about $50 or even $5. Maybe you are not going to have a quiet month, but you will still avoid a worse scenario. Sixth mistake. Not creating a budget. It is difficult, if not impossible, to get control of your finances and debts without having a budget. People think that planning expenses is too much work until they wake up one day with $5,000 in credit card debt and wonder how the heck did this happen? What's the solution? Develop a budget for the most important areas such as household expenses, food, medicine, clothing, and education. It should be a realistic budget that on the one hand covers these needs, but also leaves room for debt payments. This means paying cash only. You know where the place for credit cards should be: stored around the house or in the trash can. And if you don't want to complicate your life, you can use a very simple system, the one of envelopes. You put there the money you need for a week and you know that you should not spend more than this. Seventh mistake. Don't hide from your creditors. No matter how much you hide or stop answering calls and emails, your debt will not disappear and you will start to feel more anxious every time they call you. The best thing to do to feel more calm is to seek a settlement. On the other hand, during the time of struggling with debt, you should not give up all pleasures either. There is no doubt that getting out of debt fast requires sacrifices. This is indisputable. But if your situation allows it, don't forget to give yourself a little reward to recognize your effort. For example, by going to the movies when you finish paying the first debt on your list, or going out to a restaurant with your partner or friends when you have met one of the goals set. Staying motivated is very important. I hope this information will help you not only to stay motivated, but also to become debt-free. Well, that's it for today. Remember to subscribe to the channel and give me a like it if you find value in the content. See you next week, and remember, smart work is the key to success.